Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for Friday, May 9th. We got a 12-game slate to go over. I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann, and come join us at LineStar. We do have a 7-day free trial through the app stores. Android or iOS app store gets you access to 7 days free if you've never tried us out before. Come try us out. What do you got to lose? It's free. So now, let's dig into this show. As always, we're going to go over the perfect lineups from yesterday, the winning lineups from yesterday. Then we're going to get into today's pitchers to consider and stacks to consider. And let's get into it now. And perfect lineup. All right, so on DraftKings, perfect lineup, we got Nick Lodolo, we got Brandon Paft. We talked about both these guys, and they came through. Then we have a 3-man Rays stack, and all one-offs after that. Didn't use near all of the salary. 218.55 is the perfect lineup score, and the winner went to Ship My Money. Congrats to you, Ship My Money. Nice work. You won by 13 points, or 12 and change. They had Path. He had Schwallenbach. Both did enough. And then lineup-wise, we got a 3-man Toronto, 2-man Philly, with a one-off of Neto and Moreno, who Moreno had a grand slam, so he got it done there. Congrats to you, Ship My Money. Now let's check what we got on the old FanDuel site here. And the perfect lineup on FanDuel is Brandon Paft. We got 2-man Diamondbacks, 2-man Rays, couple one-offs after that. Then over on FanDuel, Elusive Smoke took it. They won 20K with 210 score. Chris Bassett got it done. And then we had a 4-man Philly stack, 2-man Tampa Bay with one-offs with Varsho and Harper. He had the late surge with home runs from Varsho and Ohtani very late in the games. Got it done for him. Unfortunately, it knocked me out from, at the time, I believe it was third, all the way down to like the 20s. So what is good for one isn't always good for everybody else. Congrats, Elusive Smoke. You had the late draw that got it done. Congrats to you. Now, let's check out what we got going on this slate today. Now, first thing I want to point out is we got some hitting conditions today. I think we're going to need some big upside from your hitters today. 9.5 point total in Tampa Bay. Great hitting conditions there. 9 in KC. 9 in Minnesota. 11.5 in Colorado. 10 in LA with the Angels. 10 in Arizona. 11 in Sacramento. I guess we should probably change that to the A's like MLB has, but we have it still as what it's always been. So a ton of different hitting spots that have some high upside. Let's start digging into the pitchers here because there's also some nice pitchers. Hunter Brown, 11K. Wild that he is this price this quickly. It's a guy that I was pretty high on the offseason. 19% owned. He has been at just absolutely dealing. 2.55 over his last 20, or 5.1 over his last 20 for his FIP. 1.67 over the last 5 with a 30% K rate. He has been an absolute elite pitcher through, midway through the season last year, the start of this season, and he's in a decent spot. Cincinnati, 308 WOBA versus righties, 240 or 24% K rate, low ISO. The BVP data, there's really not enough BVP data there to go off, and a 26% combined K rate. I love the spot for Brown. He is super expensive. You will probably have to pair him with, some cheap pitcher to really still be able to get some pay up bats, but Hard to not want to have a little bit of Brown. There's big upside. I don't mind going there. Kevin Gausman, 9K, 17% owned. It's in Seattle. Seattle has not been a team we really want to go against yet so far this year, but it is in a very, very pitcher-friendly park, so I don't mind some. And Gausman's actually been dealing a little bit. 2.73 over the last 5, 3.67 over the last 20. His K rate, 29% over the last 5, however, 20% over the last 20. Now, remember that last 20 number is largely from last year when he was pitching through some injuries. So maybe this 29% K rate is a little more who he is. We've seen that high K rate from him before. So I don't want to say that 29 is too high. Probably he's more 27-ish, 28-ish, but he's been pitching well. StatCast data is a little scary, though. 36% hard contact, 9 barrel balls, a lot of barrel balls, a lot of hard contact. And this isn't a team you really want to give up hard contact to. They have an ISO of 185 versus righties, only striking out 19%, 271 average for the team splits over the last 20. But BVP data heavily favors Gausman in this spot. We got a 24.4% combined K rate. I'm fine with a little bit of Gausman. He's just been a little Jekyll and Hyde so far this year. Gives up 4, gives up 6, gives up none, and strikes out 9. Gives up 2, strikes out 6 and 6. Gives up none, 10 Ks. You know, he's been up and down. He's done well in tough spots. He's got blown up in tough spots. And I'm fine with a little Gausman, but there's a lot of other places I don't mind to go to either. Aaron Nola, 8.3K, 17% owned. Look, Nola's a little too cheap at 8.3K in my opinion. He's a guy that eats innings. He's been pitching well lately. 3.02 FIP, 28% K rate. We got a 4.27 FIP over his last 20 with a 25% K rate. The numbers are fine. The winds are blowing in. Helps him a little bit. StatCast data is fine. Splits, they're okay. 2.63 average, but 158 ISO. The only thing is the Guardians just don't really strike out that much. So maybe some limited upside here. But he's only 8,300. So you don't need all the upside in the world. I'm fine with some Nola. I think he is one of the safer options, but he's probably not going to give you 40. He's not going to come out with 10 Ks and go 8 innings probably. However, there's not a whole ton of guys to choose from today. We got like 5-6 starters that are kind of interesting to me. And he's definitely in that interesting category. Next, Max Meyer, 10.2K. Look, he's versus the White Sox, so you got to consider him. But I think 10.2K is just too expensive for him. 4.81 FIP over his last 5, 27.8% K rate. K rate's up there. FIP also up there. And then the FIP over the last 20 is 5.3. So I don't think this guy is like totally changed from last year. Yes, the upside is there a little bit more so far. We've seen it a few games here, but don't totally love the spot, and I think you're paying up just because they're against the White Sox. If I don't get any of him, I'm okay with it. If I get a little of him, I'm also okay with it. I do think 17% owned on him might be a little high owned. Next, Mike Lorenzen, don't really want to go there versus the Red Sox. However, the Red Sox are a little bit of yin and yang. They're boom bust. Just not really a spot I want to go. Luis Castillo, 8.4K. 3.96 over the last 20. 3.5 over the last 5. His strikeout stuff, 21% over the last 20. 17% over the last 5. Hasn't been there lately, but averages 65% more fantasy points at home. He is at a very pitcher-friendly park. This Toronto team doesn't scare me that much. 300 WOBA versus righties, 128 ISO versus righties. The BVP data favors Castillo, 22% K rate there. I actually like Castillo quite a bit in this spot at 8,400. I mean, you go him and Nola, you have decent upside, a little bit of safety, and you can pay up for a ton of bats there. So I think that's a very interesting way to go. I like Castillo. I think he's probably going a little under-owned, and I would rather him than Max Meyer personally. Now, we got a slew of guys after that you can consider. 5,800 Kyle Hendricks. I don't love it, but he gives you that odd, 20 burger. Only reason you're going to him is the fact that he can give you a 20 burger. Lytle got blown up the last couple times. Winds are blowing out. It's warm. Don't really love going to him. Nick Martinez. I think we got to talk about 7,800 versus the Astros. Astros at this point in this season don't scare me that much. Not like they have years prior. They're striking out a little bit more. And Nick Martinez has been really good. 3.46 FIP over the last 20. 2.72 over the last 5. 21% K rate. StatCast data is fine. A decent amount of fly balls are happening, but it's a lot of soft contact. So I don't mind that. Now, the splits do favor Houston a little bit here, but Martinez has been really good versus Houston. 66 plate attempts, they're only hitting 226. The K rate, way down, but at 7,800, I'm fine going with some Nick Martinez, especially when he is super low owned. Think he's interesting. And I think we got to talk about Clay Holmes a little bit. Very tough spot versus this Cubs offense that has been doing very well and crushing everybody, but 2.69 FIP, 2 FIP over the last 5. K rate's up there. The upside's there at only 8,200 to throw him in some. If I get some in my lineups, I'm absolutely fine with that. Now, let's get over to FanDuel, see what we got here on our high-owned pitcher scale. We got Hunter Brown, 11K. We got Kevin Gausman, 8.6K. Luis Castillo, 9.2. Max Meyer, 9.8 and 10% owned. I'm fine going with a little more Max Meyer over here. Yeah, he's only 400 cheaper, but you're only going with one pitcher. The ceiling is there in this spot to go with Max Meyer, and that's the difference. And he's less owned. So I'm okay with a little bit. Not going to go overboard on him. Aaron Nola, 9.6K. Very intrigued with at low ownership. If you want to get wild, you can go Nick Martinez. My issue with him on FanDuel is the ceiling isn't really there. He doesn't get too many 40, 50-point games, and I think out of Brown, Gausman, Castillo, Meyer, Nola, one of those guys is probably going for high 40s. That is my only issue paying down, going to Martinez. I think there's too many guys that could have that game that makes it hard for me want to go to Nick Martinez. Now, let's get into some stacks. See what we got on the stack category today, starting with our high owned, and that is the San Diego Padres versus Centinela. No surprise here. The one thing I have to say, 54% isn't enough to take me off of them, but Colorado typically plays the Padres pretty tough, and that is a worry for me, especially in Colorado. So I don't absolutely love going with the Padres when they're highest owned here. However, they've been hitting. They're in a good spot. 11.5 total. You got to probably have a little bit of them if you have, a bunch of lineups you're making. Now, also 54% isn't enough to fade them. There are so many good hitting spots on this slate that I am fine with that. This is one with upside. I think we need upside if we're taking pitcher stack or hitter stacks today. Baltimore 46 versus Kyle Hendricks. Absolutely fine doing that. The only issue with that is most likely Hendricks, he's a vet. His FIP is elevated. His ERA is a little elevated, but he comes out, throws 5 innings, gives up 2-3 runs, and, that's that. He generally doesn't give up that 7, 8, plus earned run game. And that's my only issue with the Baltimore stacks, but they can get a couple. And then if they get to the bullpen, the ceiling is there. Just don't totally love it. Highest projected, we got Dodgers versus Erod. Look, Erod's a very good pitcher. 4.4 FIP over the last 5, 4.55 over the last 20. He has a ceiling when he gets it on. I'm fine with the little Dodgers. Don't totally love going against Eduardo Rodriguez when they're another stack that's a little elevated as far as their ownership. High value, we got the White Sox versus Max Meyer. Don't mind a little bit of it. FIPS for Max Meyer elevated, so we know he can get hit a little bit. I don't really want to do a 5-man stack of the White Sox, though. The reason being is I just don't see the upside. You're not gonna get, or very unlikely to get 10 runs out of them. And I think this is a slate where your team, your main big stack, is going to need to score 8, 9, 10 runs. The likelihood of that happening for the White Sox is very, very slim. Miami versus Bryce Wilson. Kind of same goes here for Miami as the White Sox. Royals versus Hunter Dobbins. Think this is pretty interesting. We got a game total of 9. KC does have a little bit of ceiling and then can score fantasy points from stealing bases and, not just home runs. So a little interesting KC. Our high ceiling stack, we got Cubs versus Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes has been very, very good. Cubs have just crushed everybody, though, so you got to at least consider them. Our high leverage stacks, we got Mets versus Jameson Taillon. That's absolutely interesting. Mets been hitting a little bit. Soto has been on a rampage lately. Definitely fine going there. Now let's click the teams tab, see what we got here. We got San Diego at 6.3. We did not get to talk about this game in Sacramento. Yankees, 5.9 run total. Beto's not that good. We have amazing hitting weather in Sacramento, and the ball seems to be jumping off that bat. Yankees probably hit a couple home runs in this game. They got to be a little interesting to stack. Baltimore, 5.4. Fine having a little bit of them. The bullpen behind Hendricks isn't good. You get him out quick, get into that bullpen, damage can happen. Colorado at 5.2. I love this stack. The only issue is the San Diego bullpen has been very, very good. I think Colorado can get to Vasquez, especially in Colorado. But this Padres bullpen has been very, very good. However, a couple cracks have shown over the last series, so maybe they're falling off a little bit after just an amazing start. Got to consider Colorado in Colorado. Arizona at 5.1. Sasaki hasn't been that great yet. Fine going there. A's versus Will Warren. Absolutely loves this spot for the A's. Fine going here. There's going to be home runs in this game, and we got 40% hard contact and 42 mile an hour average exit velocity. Dodgers at 4.9. Kind of a low run total for the Dodgers, but I'm fine having a little bit of there. Milwaukee versus Tampa Bay. Great hitting environment once again. Love that spot. We have a lot of games with very good hitting environments. There's huge ceiling in those type of environments, and with so many of them, one team probably goes off. So I'm going to probably have a lot of stacks of those good hitting environments. Tampa Bay, 4.6 versus Quintana. I like that spot. They're going to be low owned. They're hitting well. The bullpen isn't that good. Quintana is past his prime, so it's a very interesting spot for me. And that will do it for us today, guys. Hope you guys have a good one. We will be back more on Monday, and we're going to have a lot of shows coming out later today. Our prop shows, NBA show, all of that. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.